All right, hopefully we're live. How's it going? My name's Elder. Welcome back to the open debate. Alec Baldwin, that's the subject of this evening. If you haven't been to the channel before, welcome. And if you are coming back, thank you for coming back. Either way, we're going to talk about some hard-hitting things this evening. Alec Baldwin, if you don't know, has been in the forefront of the news lately with some allegations around what has been happening with an incident on a movie set where he accidentally, potentially, got into some situations with a firearm. So, we're going to look into a new founding interview that has recently come out. First time that he's spoken since the incident started. And we're just going to watch it together for the first time, you and I, here on the channel, and have a good old-fashioned open debate. Hopefully the audio is well, you can hear everything. Let me know what's going on in the comments below and in the chat. I'm right here with you. And I don't know, let's get started. I haven't seen the interview so far. I've heard a few things about what's been going on, and I'm interested to see what he has to say. I'm interested to hear what you all think about what's happening and what has happened and what has transpired with this event. Personally, I'm on the fence. We're going to see. We're going to see what's going on. We're going to see what's happening. And, come along for the ride, boys and girls. Because that's what's going down this evening. We're going to check out this interview. And, let's go. Let's get right into it.
Phones are off. Let me get the slate. Marker. Good. Any more fun? Alec, thank you for doing this. You haven't said much in public since that tragic accident. Why speak out now?
Well, I think that there's a criminal investigation, and that could be a while. There's all kinds of civil litigation, and I felt there were a number of misconceptions, most of it from sources I really wouldn't concern myself about, but a couple that I did concern myself about, where there were these authoritative statements about this is what happened. The sheriff's department hasn't even released a report to the DA yet. The reason I wanted to sit down with you is because I really feel like I can't wait for that process to end in February, March. I mean, I'm not asking them to speed it up for my benefit. That's ridiculous. But I am saying that they're going to do what they need to do. And I wanted to come to talk to you to say that I would go to any lengths to undo what happened. I would go to any lengths to undo what happened.
I think
So right away, I want to acknowledge that he is acknowledging this is a criminal investigation, that there needs to be an investigation, and that there are potential criminal acts that have happened. And so, just like Jussie Smollett or Bubba whatever at the NASCAR situation, I think that all available sources should be put into finding out what happened here in this situation. And we should know the truth, personally. This is how I feel. How do you feel?
the big question, and the one you must have asked yourself 1,000 times, how could this have happened?
Well, there's two things I want to say about that. One is that when I talk about this, my concern is that I don't sound like I'm the victim. Because there is a victim. There's a woman who died. And my friend got shot. He's my friend. And she was a new friend. I met her and we worked together on some of the mapping out of what we were going to do on the film, which, in the movie terms, if you go make a movie with Scorsese, you and the DP don't sit down and they solicit your ideas of how to make the film. You know what I mean? In the case of Alina, we sat down collaboratively and talked a lot about what we wanted to do in that a precious amount of time we had. But I want to make sure that I don't come across like I'm the victim, because we have two victims here. And the second thing is that all of what...
So he is acknowledging that there are two victims. He's not one of them. And it's really trying to make the point known that he was friends with these individuals. And the relationship that they had was more than what would normally happen on the set of a movie if you were with a big director like Scorsese, as he's actively referring to himself as a monolithic figure in the movie industry. Not to say that he's not, but I mean, come on there. Alec Baldwin, Martin Scorsese, not really the same level, in my opinion. That's not the point of what I'm saying here. I'm really trying to get across the point that he is actively portraying and trying to get across that he was friends with this individual. It wasn't somebody that he just was work acquaintances with. In my opinion, that's how it feels. Let me know how you feel.
What happened on that day leading up to this event was precipitated on one idea, and that is that Helena and I had something profound in common. And that is we both assumed the gun was empty, other than those, dummy rounds.
I want to get into more detail on the day in a minute, but let's take a step back. What was it that drew you to this project in the first place, to Rust?
I'd worked on a project with Joel before.
Joel Souza.
Right. He did this movie, Crown Vic, that I produced. And Joel and I stayed in touch. We're friends, and I loved Rust. He said, I want to send you this. And I read it, and I said, I love it. I love it.
Rust, a low-budget Western, tells the story of an aging outlaw on the run with his young grandson. Baldwin, the film's star, is also one of the producers.
Very excited. Very, very, so excited that we finally got this thing, because every independent film has many false starts. And when it finally goes, you feel like a plane. When you finally get some lift under your wings, it's very, very gratifying. I am a purely creative producer. My authorities as a producer are casting and script, which are actually married to the role of being a lead actor in a film.
So you're not the kind of producer who's looking at the line item of each budget?
No. There are basically two types of producers who are really in charge of production. People that raise the money and the people who spend the money. My consultations or approvals were completely about casting and about the script. I don't hire anybody in the crew.
Not even the cinematographer, no one?
No, he will apprise me of what he's doing. And he'll say to me, I got Helena Hutchins to be the DP. I said, how do you feel about that? Are you excited? I'm very excited. She's wonderful.
What did you know about Helena Hutchins before?
So he didn't have anything to do with the hiring process or anything like that. But he did have approval. So, like they say, and like he's trying to skirt around, I'm trying to come at this with an unbiased approach, but I will admit right now, right here, that I don't believe the words that are coming out of this man's mouth. The way that he's speaking right away it feels untruthful. I don't know much about the situation, but the way that he is speaking is not truthful. I know Alec Baldwin as an actor. I know him in the films that I've seen, in the TV shows that I've seen him in, and he's acting very much the same way, where it's like if you're in a situation where you have killed somebody, you're a human being. We should be able to recognize the emotions and the rational thoughts or irrational thoughts. Even if they aren't rational, we should be able to understand them because we go through those same emotions in our own lives, even if it's on a minor scale, like much minor. This dude is playing a role, and I don't like it. Personally, these are my feelings. How do you feel? I'm going to keep going.
Before she started working on it.
I knew nothing about her until Joel said to me, I got her. She was fantastic.
Helena Hutchins, the talented cinematographer praised by many in the industry, was a trailblazer in the field historically dominated by men.
Make sure we don't see people walking around like walking around.
The Ukrainian-born cinematographer quickly gelled with Baldwin.
The people who watched the daily said that her work was beautiful. She was someone who was loved by everyone who worked with and liked by everyone who worked with and admired.
I'm sorry to stop this again, but he's trying to outline how much everybody loved this woman and how much she was admired on the set and how close his relationship was with her. And you can see that it's like, well, if I was close with her, then, I would be upset, deeply emotionally upset about her passing. But that's not the way that you would cry about it. It would be an emotional response to memories that you have of this individual, not you reflecting on how other individuals felt about her and then saying she was such a good person and starting to cry. I may be wrong. Maybe that's not correct. Let me know how you feel. But it's the open debate. This is not just my opinion. I want to know what's going on with you guys. But I'm also here to let you know how I feel to keep the conversation going. So drop a comment below. Let me know what you think's happening right now and how you feel about the situation.
I'm sorry. But admired by everybody who worked with her.
Rust's 21-day production began filming on October 6th at the Bonanza Creek Ranch, just outside Santa Fe, New Mexico. The ranch has long been a favorite location for filming westerns.
We need a place to lay low. I ain't that way escalating out here in the West with one thing leading to another.
The day that I flew there, they've been shooting for a week already. I come the following week on the 11th. That night of the 11th, I had dinner with Helena and Joel. And we talked about some of the compositions I was thinking of to...
That was the first time you met?
First time I met Helena, yeah.
What was your first impression?
When I met her, I knew she had that spark. I knew she had that flint to her, that she was going to get that day's work done and get the shots that she wanted. She was very focused.
She had a vision for the film?
She was very focused. We had a discussion about compositions of shots when you were shooting these beautiful tableaus of the West. She had that intensity. Every day you went to work, she would say, "Good morning, how are you? How was your evening?" Boom, it was small talk, go. We weren't going to hang out and chit-chat or whatever. She knew that the clock was the enemy, and we have to move forward.
Once on set, Baldwin posts this video.
I want to say I look at myself in a reflection of this, and I'm really kind of appalled. It's appalling. We're here shooting the film. We start tomorrow, and no, I'm not playing Santa Claus. On the 12th, I had a safety demonstration with Hannah Reed, the armorer.
24-year-old Hannah Gutierrez Reed, seen here in photos by thedailymail.com, was hired as the film's armorer, in charge of all weapons on set. The daughter of a famous Hollywood armorer, Rust was only her second film in this role. She spoke to the Voices of the West podcast about working as lead armorer for her first film before Rust.
I was really nervous about it at first, and I almost didn't take the job because I wasn't sure if I was ready, but doing it, it went really smoothly.
We spent an hour and a half shooting the pistol, her giving me all her safety instructions.
Did you think she was up to the job?
I assumed because she was there and she was hired, she was up for the job.
And nothing she did raised any red flags with you?
I'm going to just also chime in right now and say, they're talking about nothing, no red flags were brought up. The twist, this was not she was a new individual to the industry, who was also brought up and raised around this type of work, and I'm sure had experience. It just seems to me, I'm not trying to say that, I'm not trying to influence anybody's opinion. My personal opinion is though it seems as though Alec Baldwin is trying to insinuate that this individual is at fault because they were incompetent at their job, and he has no blame whatsoever. And the person interviewing him doesn't give a fuck and is just straight up going along with whatever narrative he has to say. That's not journalism. This is activism. And it's not good. In my opinion.
This
Hit up
training course you do. What did she tell you?
YouTube/The Open Debate. If
She
you want
say
to
things
see
like, remember,
the
this
actual video
is a
and
blank
me
round, so
discussing
you have to
it right
create
now
the discharge
live,
yourself with
but,
a projectile.
you know,
So if you shot the gun, you go bang. When we roll the camera, you got to go bang.
Amanda,
The gun
thanks for
snap
hopping
back. You
on
have
the
to create
live
that.
tonight.
She would give you little tips about firing.
I didn't know you
And
were
she'd say
following
to
me.
you,
I don't know if I'm following you.
when
I'll
we're
follow
done,
you
put
back.
the gun down. When we're done, you give the gun to me or to Halls, only those two people.
Dave Halls was Rust's assistant director, also known as the first AD. Seen here in this IMDb photo,
Where'd you come
he
from?
was
We're
responsible
not even
for
following each
keeping the
other,
production
Amanda.
on
How'd
schedule.
you find this?
Sometimes we would be on a set that was a very, very cramped set, and they wanted people in that room on an as-needed basis. But if I'm holding the gun and they say cut, I then hand the gun to Halls if she's not there.
Yeah, why Hall's not handgun? Some people have said that only the armorer should be
Perfect.
handgun.
Good.
That's in
Canada.
in the protocols of
Canada
the business
ticked out.
meeting. Hannah to hand me the gun 99%.
I want to go back a little bit.
Whatever, the preponderance of the time. But when we would say cut, if Hannah was away from the set, I would hand Halls the gun.
Hannah Gutierrez Reed had a dual role on set, armorer, and she was also the
Tips about firing. And she'd say to you, when we're done, point the gun down.
Really nervous about it at first, and I
We're here, should have found we start tomorrow. And she would say, good morning, how are you? How was your, I met her. I knew she had that spark. I knew she had that flint to her, that she was going to get that day's work done and get the shot that she wanted. She was very focused.
She had a vision for the
She was
film.
very focused. We had a discussion about compositions of shots in which you were shooting these beautiful tableaus of the West. She had that intensity. Every day you went to work, she would say, good morning, how are you? How was your evening? Boom. It was small talk, go. We weren't going to hang out and chit-chat or whatever. She knew that the clock was the enemy, and we have to move forward.
The clock was the
Once on
enemy. We
set,
had to keep
Baldwin
going. She was
posts this video.
reckless, ruthless.
I
She
won't
never
say I
stopped.
look at myself in the mirror.
She was
Reflection of this,
so
I'm really kind of
into her
appalled.
work.
Appalling. We're here shooting the film. We start tomorrow, and no, I'm not playing Santa Claus. On the 12th, I had a safety demonstration with Hannah Reed, the armorer.
24-year-old Hannah Gutierrez Reed, seen here in photos by the DailyMail.com, was hired as the film's armorer, in charge of all weapons on set. The daughter of a famous Hollywood armorer, Russ was only her second film in this role. She spoke to the Voices of the West podcast about working as lead armorer for her first film before Russ.
I was really nervous about it at first, and I almost didn't take the job because I wasn't sure if I was ready, but doing it, it went really smoothly.
We spent an hour and a half shooting the pistol, her giving me all her safety
Did
instructions.
you think she was up to the job?
I assumed because she was there and she was hired, she was up for the job.
And nothing she did raised any red flags with you?
No.
This training course you do, what did she tell you?
She'd say things like, remember, this is a blank round, so you have to create the discharge yourself because there's no projectile. So if you shot the gun, you go bang. When we roll the camera, you got to go bang and have the gun snap back. You have to create that. She would give
Weird things like that. Like, remember that this is a discharge, and so that it's not a live round, you're not going to actually shoot anybody. Like, you have to make the recoil yourself. So, when this dude, right? Just going to say this, I don't know. He described it. She had told him countless times, it's a fake gun. It's not going to give you any recoil. So when he pulled back, I'm going to say this right now. I've seen one clip from this fucking goddamn interview. I didn't say that at the beginning. I saw like a maybe a 3-minute clip, and then I went and looked it up, and I was like, I got to watch this whole thing. And so we're going to see later on here, he's going to say, I pulled back the hammer of the gun, let it go, and the gun went off. And so right now he's saying, we'd gone over countless times, multiple times, you have to, it's a fake recoil. It's a fake gun. So you have to make that recoil yourself. He pulled back the hammer of the gun, and when he let it go, it went off, is what his story is. That's what his false fucking shit is. And if that was the case, he would know that the gun had actually shot because there was real recoil. Yet he goes on to continue to say he didn't realize that the gun had gone off for 45 minutes. We will see this. We will see this happen. It's 3 minutes of this clip. And just from me seeing that, I was like, okay, I got to see what he has to say about all this, because that doesn't make any sense to me. I was like, the clip says, I thought I pulled back the hammer of the gun. It went off, and I didn't realize for 45 minutes that the gun had actually shot. I was like, what was he talking about in this interview? I'm going to go check it out. And so here I am checking it out with you guys. Not that I haven't seen it. We were watching it for the first time together, the entire interview. Just being transparent. Just letting you all know. I saw that 3-minute clip, and that's the context as to why I think this mother flipping guy is lying to us right now. Let me know what you think.
Give you little tips about firing, and she'd say to you, when we're done, put the gun down. When we're done, you give the gun to me or to Halls, only those two people.
Dave Halls was Rust's assistant director, also known as the first AD. Seen here in this IMDb photo, he was responsible for keeping the production on schedule.
Sometimes we would be on a set that was a very, very cramped set, and they wanted people in that room on an as-needed basis. If I'm holding the gun and they say cut, I then hand the gun to Halls if she's not there.
Yeah, why Halls not handled? Some people have said that only the armorer should be handled.
No. That's inaccurate. Meaning in the protocols of the business, meaning Hannah would to handle the gun 99% of the time, whatever the preponderance of the time. But when we would say cut, if Hannah was away from the set, I would hand Halls the gun.
Hannah Gutierrez Reed had a dual role on set, armorer, and she was also the assistant prop master for the film.
One of the things her attorney has said is that she was hired for 2 positions on the film and therefore was stretched in an inappropriate way. Did she raise any of those concerns with you?
No, I assume that everyone who's shooting a lower budget film is stretched, myself included. And I got no complaints from her or the prop department. I'm not sitting there when I'm getting dressed and ready to go do a scene saying, oh my God, the prop woman seemed very harried today. I didn't get a sense of that from any of the people on the film. The first time I heard that there was any problem with anybody in the crew of the film was when Luber said, well, we have some issues here.
Lane Looper, the first camera assistant, would email production managers a resignation letter later that night, citing safety concerns. Quote,
So I'm going to say this. I said that I didn't know too much about this story when we started, but as things are coming out, I do remember hearing things about this story. Like the fact that Alec Baldwin was a producer on the movie, and individuals who had been working on the set were not happy with the work conditions that were going on, such as, safety conditions and shit like that. I think they were in the desert. Who knows what was going on? Maybe there were scorpions and shit. Who the fuck knows? But this is what I've heard. Does it play into the story that we're going to unfold? I don't know. This is the first of a 3-part series. So stay tuned, because this is just one video of 3. There's 2 more to come after this. It's a 3-part interview.
during the filming of gunfights on this job, things are often played very fast and loose. So far, there have been 2 accidental weapons discharges. He also wrote about concerns about reasonable rest and housing for local crew with long commutes to the set.
When he quit, the day before that happened, we wrapped. And he came up to me and he said, "Thank you for the position you've taken on behalf of IATSE and the union on social media." I said, "My pleasure."
This photo, posted by Helena, showed the cast and crew in solidarity with IATSE, the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, which had been on the verge of a strike. And Alec posted this on Instagram.
And I want to say to the people in IATSE, do what you need to do. You want to go on strike? Go on strike. Because I'll tell you something about the executives. They don't give a about you. He said, because we have some issues here. I said, such as? And he said, my men need a better hotel room. There was no mention of safety issues.
He didn't say anything about the accidental discharges on set?
He didn't say anything about anything else. He goes, my men need better hotel rooms. I said, well, we're leaving, we're wrapping. Will you be here tomorrow? He said, yes. Because what I was about to do, which I've done on any number of films and TV projects, was to give more of my salary back to the production to pay for X. And I was about to say to him, let me know what it would be to B&B you guys in a house that's closer to the...
He was about to say to him, so what happened and why didn't he say that to him? Also, trying to let all of us know that he has continuously done this in his previous productions. We could easily find this out for ourselves if he has actually given his salary to production in order for the team to have a more comfortable stay. But that's not even what they're saying. Like I just said before this happened, I believe that I had heard there were safety concerns, and now he's trying to negate safety concerns. This is why I think this mother flipper is lying, because it makes no sense. Make it make sense. If you can make it make sense, I'll probably believe you. But if you can't, then fuck off. I've heard people felt unsafe on the scene, hence why they are making complaints. One of the biggest ones, the individual who was shot and killed. Yet, here he is making all these excuses as to how safe or how fine the entire situation was, when there were individuals that were making complaints, but they weren't about safety. They wanted better accommodations. Like, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? What do y'all think? What do you guys think? I don't know. And I don't claim to know. I never know. I don't know shit. This is the open debate. If it was like my opinion, it would just be like, yo, fuck you, it's me. No, it's the open debate. I want to know what everybody thinks.
How we can address your problem. I will be happy to contribute to that. The next day they were gone.
So you had no sense from anyone on the set that people had been stretched to the point where safety was compromised?
No. I never heard one word about that. No.
Rust producers told ABC News Mr. Looper's allegations around budget and safety are patently false, which is not surprising, considering his job was to be a camera operator and he had absolutely nothing to do with or knowledge of safety protocols or budgets. Safety is always the number one priority on our films.
When people say cutting costs, I don't say this with any judgment or any cynicism. Spielberg wants to save money. Tom Cruise wants to save money. Everybody who makes movies has a responsibility not to be reckless and careless with the money that you're given. You know, those are men who make movies that cost $205 million. And I'm making movies that cost $5 million.
The question, though, is were costs being cut at the expense of safety and security?
In my opinion, no, because I did not observe any safety or security issues at all in the time I was there.
Thursday, October 21st, Baldwin posts a photo of himself in costume on Instagram. Back to in person at the office. Blimey, it's exhausting. That morning, Looper and 6 other crew members walked off the set. Filming continued with a replacement camera crew. Scene 118 in the church was slated for after lunch.
Everybody there was having a positive experience. People who are watching the show, people who back home, you have no idea how unique an environment a motion picture set is. It's kind of this instant familiarity, the amount of care. These are people who are professionals who have really good jobs in a field they love. And I looked at all these people and I see how hard they work. They're so hardworking and they're so conscientious. And you're around people and you're part of one of the great collaborative processes in the world, movie making. Everyone moving like a watch to get everything done. And when you kind of, I don't make that many movies anymore because movie making demanded that I travel and I didn't want to leave my family. All these movies I made, I stayed home. I didn't want to go. If I went away, I went away for a week. To leave my family for 4 weeks and go shoot this movie, that was a big deal. And I'm sitting on this pew. And so help me God. I sat on that pew right before they called lunch. And I said, this movie has made me love making movies again. Because I used to love to make movies. I did. You know, I worked with people once. I was going to do the movie The Edge. And they called me and said they got Tony Hopkins to do the film. What are you making? Yeah, looking for you here. And I started sobbing. I just started sobbing because I thought, oh God, I'm going to have a chance to work with this guy. Any chance you would go easy on me? When they cast me in It's Complicated with Meryl, I thought, I'm going to get to go make a movie with her. You know, people, they have their dreams. No matter how old you are, you have your...
I'm sorry. Like, I know that some people may be like, yeah, this is like, it's, yeah, he's so sad, and like, he went through a traumatic event, and like, it's so sad. Bro, do you believe this shit? I honestly can't believe any of this shit. Like, he does not seem genuine whatsoever, and I'm not feeling anything. Even as an actor, if he was an actor, like, he's supposed to be a good actor, he ain't acting good, bud. Well, this is like basically the end of the first interview. We're almost done. We have 2 more to go because I'm Canadian and I have a Canadian accent if I really want to put it on. And here it is. So here it is, you know. So we're here and we're not in Toronto. We're in Toronto. And we're going to watch the rest of these interviews. And everybody that wants to watch, you guys can come along and watch and hang out for the ride. Eh there, bud? Okay, let's go.
Your dreams are people you want to work with. And this movie made me love making movies again. I really thought we were onto something.
Next.
She goes down.
She goes
I
down.
myself.
I think to myself, my
Did she
God.
faint?
You're a fucking liar. I don't know. I just want to know the opinions of other people because this is too much.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube
You
channel.
don't need George
If you'd like to get more videos-
Stephanopoulos. We need George Strombanopoulos or whatever the fuck. Come on now, buddy.
show highlights and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
Part 2. Here we are. Let's go. You know, it's hard to like just give commentary by myself, so let me know what you guys have to say below in the comments
I
and
did
in the
exactly
chat.
what I've done
You know,
every day
going.
on
I
that
appreciate your
Baldwin was preparing for his next scene, a shootout inside this wooden
also, let me know how
church.
the audio is because I know that things are running off of.
Set the scene right before that happened. You're sitting in a pew in the church.
Right.
What's the scene supposed to be?
The scene is the two guys are there who have got me, cornered, and they think I'm shot pretty bad, and I'm kind of wilting, and they have a gun, and the sound outside distracts them, and I would draw the gun out, cross-draw out of my holster, pull the gun up like that, and start to cock the pistol, cut. I'm handed a gun, and someone declares, they said, "This is a cold gun."
Dave Halls.
The first AD, in my years on the sets of film, hot gun meant that there was a charge in there, and cold gun meant there was nothing in there. When he's saying this is a cold gun, what he's saying to everybody on the set is you can relax. The gun is empty.
That's what cold gun means.
Well, cold gun means there's no charge in there. There could be dummy rounds.
A dummy round looks like a real bullet, but it's completely inert. It contains no explosive charge.
What
And you were rehearsing that scene.
If you
was it
didn't
an actual
know,
rehearsal? There's some disagreement about that. Whether it was a formal
smart.
rehearsal at that time.
This is a marking rehearsal where I'm going to show her. She's standing next to the camera. She's like this. You're me. She's got a monitor here. The camera is here filming that way. She takes a monitor that is his monitor, the operator, and turns it toward her. It swivels, and she says to me, "Hold the gun lower. Go to your right. Okay, right there. All right, do that. And throw it a little bit lower." And she's getting me to position the gun. Everything is in her direction. she's guiding me through how she wants me to hold the gun for this angle. And I draw the gun out and I find a mark, I draw the gun out, I go to cut. And what's really urgent is the gun wasn't meant to be fired in that angle.
So if you're shooting directly into the camera lens, you're not aiming.
I'm not shooting to the camera lens. I'm shooting just off.
Just off.
Right, in her direction. I'm holding the gun where she told me to hold it, which ended up being aimed right in below her armpit, was what I was told. I don't know. This was a completely
what I was
incidental
told.
shot.
I don't know.
An angle that may
The
not
fuck
have
do
ended
you
up.
mean? Is what I was told. I don't know. It was angled right below her armpit in her direction. Is what I was told. I don't know. What do you mean you don't fucking know? This is the kind of stuff that makes me upset that I start like getting angry. So, calm down. What do you think? He doesn't know. Why wouldn't you know? These are the directions you were given. I don't know. I don't know. How don't I know? How don't I know?
In the film at all. But we kept doing this. So then I said to her, now in this scene, I'm going to cock the gun. And I said, do you want to see that? And she said, yes. So I take the gun and I start to cock the gun. I'm not going to pull the trigger. I said, do you see that? She goes, well, just cheat it down and tilt it down a little bit like that. And I cock the gun and go, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? And she says, and then I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off. I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off.
At the moment. The decisive
That was the
moment.
moment the gun went off. Yeah, that was the moment the gun went off.
It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
So you never pulled the trigger.
No. I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger at them. Never. No, that was the training that I had. You don't point a gun at me and pull the trigger. On day one of my instruction in this business, people say,
I think that is the most important part of this interview, and that is what I said. I said I saw 3 minutes. It was like 30 seconds. Not even 30. It's like, 10 seconds? There are probably a little bit more in between and like before and after. Jesus Christ. The way that he's talking, the way that he says that, it's just so not genuine. The way that I was trained, the way that we do it, you'd never point a gun at somebody and pull the trigger. You would never do it. I cocked the gun back. And then when I let it go, when I let the hammer of the gun go, it just went off. And she told me to point it directly at her, under her armpit. I don't know. Maybe that was it. Maybe that's what she was saying. It's an interesting situation. Maybe it did happen just the way he's saying. Maybe I'm looking into it too much.
to me, never take the gun and go click, 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 because even though it's incremental, you damage the firing pin on the gun if you do that. Don't do that.
And Hall's attorney told ABC News that he was watching and agrees that Alec did not pull the trigger and that his finger was outside the trigger guard.
So you have this Colt 45, you just pulled,
The hammer as far back as I go without cocking the actual.
and you're holding onto the hammer.
I'm holding that. I'm just showing her. I go, how about that? Does that work? Do you see that? Do you see that? She goes, yeah, that's good. I let go of the hammer. Bang, the gun goes. Everyone is horrified. They're shocked. It's loud. They don't have their earplugs in. No one was. The gun was supposed to be empty. I was told I was handed an empty gun. If there were cosmetic rounds, nothing with a charge at all, a flash round, nothing. She goes down. I thought to myself, did she faint? The notion that there was a live round in that gun did not dawn on me till probably 45 minutes to an hour later.
45 minutes to an hour.
Well, she's laying there and I go, did she get hit by wadding? Was there a blank? Sometimes those blank rounds have a wadding inside that packs like a cloth that packs the gunpowder in. Sometimes wadding comes out and can hit people and it can feel like a little bit of a poke. But no one could understand. Did she have a heart attack? Because remember, the idea.
So, this woman was on the ground for 45 minutes. According to Alec Baldwin. This is me speculating. Or me saying. I don't know. I wasn't there on the set of Rust when Alec Baldwin accidentally shot a woman. But from his own words, she was on the ground for 45 minutes. And then he thought, maybe did a wad of, packing from the gun come out? Sometimes these fake guns that they have on set have packing, wadding on the inside that come out and feel like a poke. And so, like, maybe she's just a weak little child of a woman, and she's fallen on the ground crying from being poked with this wadding for 45 minutes, unresponsive. What happened? What happened? What actually happened? Very confused.
That someone put a live bullet in the gun was not even in reality.
Did you go up to her? Or did you back
I went up
away?
to her and then we were told to get out of the building. We were forced to get out of the building. The medics came in. I mean, I stood over her for 60 seconds and she just lay there kind of in shock.
Was she conscious?
My recollection is yes.
911, what's the
Oh,
location of your
she was
emergency?
conscious the whole
We
time.
need
He
an ambulance out at Bonanza Creek Ranch right now. We've had two people shot on a movie set accidentally. I'll connect you with medical dispatch. Don't hang up.
Director Joel Souza is also wounded. His shoulder hit by the same bullet that traveled through Helena.
When she went down, he went down and he was screaming really loudly. And I thought, what is he screaming? What happened?
So was it loaded with
What
a
happened?
bullet or
Why
were
would he
you
be
just
screaming? The gun didn't go off. I didn't feel any talk or anything
Gun.
that we know doesn't happen from,
Okay, we're getting them out there already.
False.
Just stay on the phone with me. Okay.
false guns.
Within
They're not
15
real.
minutes or 20 minutes after that, the police arrived and took the church set and put the crime tape around it, the yellow tape, and forced us all to the perimeters of the parking area where we sat and waited. She was in the church and she was not taken out of the church for quite a while.
In the aftermath, there was chaos and confusion.
But nobody told you what happened?
No.
Did
It
you know-
wasn't until I was in the police station, hours later. I mean, it was like seeing aliens. It was utter disbelief over the idea. It was unacceptable, the idea that it was a live round. And finally, one of the police officers at the conclusion of my interview, I was there for like an hour and a half or so, she takes her phone and she slides it across to me. She says, "That's what came out of Joel's shoulder. A 45 caliber slug. It was a real bullet."
Had you known that Joel had been hit?
No one had any idea until that police officer, that sheriff's officer said to me, "This is the slug, 45 caliber slug they took out of Joel's arm."
He was the first one to know. Nobody else even knew that there had been a live round in that gun until the officer slid that bullet over to him and said, there was a live round. And look at the slug that was inside Joel's arm that you put there, by the way. Undisputably, undisputably, is that even a word? It's undisputed. There's nobody that's contesting this fucking goddamn shit. He pulled the hammer of the gun, pointed in the direction of the gosh darn producer. I don't know what to say. It's all lining up to where did that live round come from? This is the investigation that I'd love to know. And I because I'm so skeptical and I'm so like, yo, I don't know how I don't trust this guy. He's under fire. He's the one that's being accused. So if I don't trust him, then the full investigation, I should be I should be completely backing that up. Then I want to know exactly what happened. The truth, no matter what it is, because it doesn't matter what actually happened. You just want to know the truth. I don't trust him. Push for the truth. Find the truth. Whether it was malicious or not, I would 100% hope that it's not malicious. I guess that's like in the end that I don't want this to be a situation where he had a vendetta against somebody and wanted to enact some violence. That's not. No, you think that you're gonna because you think that you're going to get away with it with impurity. Impunity? Impurity? He's pure? Purity? Purity? Punity? What's the word? Let me know. Just let me know what you're thinking. There's this is pretty much the end of this one, and there's one more after
And then
this.
the kind of insanity-inducing agony of thinking that someone put a live bullet in the gun.
Alec Baldwin, unscripted.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News
George
YouTube channel.
Stephanopoulos,
If you'd like to get more videos,
get that
show
off the
highlights, and watch
screen.
live event coverage, click for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
Tonight, breaking news.
A fatal shooting on the set of Alec Baldwin's new movie in New Mexico.
Something went horribly wrong here in Santa Fe.
We've all seen the picture of you off the set in that hour or so after the gun went off. What were you doing? What was going through your mind?
At the end of, she was laying there, and she was there for a while. I was amazed at how long they didn't get her in a car and get her out, but they waited and a helicopter came. And by the time the helicopter took off with her and literally lifted off, we were all glued to that process outside. When she finally left, I don't know how long it was she was there, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, it seemed like a very long time. But they kept saying, well, she's stable. Like nobody, just as you disbelieved that there was a live round in the gun, you disbelieved that this was going to be a fatal accident.
So you didn't know exactly how serious it
At the
was.
very end of my interview with the sheriff's department, they said to me, we regret to tell you that she didn't make it, she died. They told me right then and there. And that's when I went in the parking lot and called my wife to talk to my wife.
What is going on? As you can see, this is the third part of the interview. Did the sheriff's office give him the bullet and say that he didn't know that she had died until the end of the interview? And he couldn't fathom that it was a live round? I'm so confused. Am I being gaslit right now? What is going on? Let me know in the comments. Am I insane? The fuck is this guy talking about? What's going on? What the fuck is this guy saying?
Shock and grief. Helena's husband, Matthew, posted a tribute to Helena. Helena inspired us all with her passion and vision, and her legacy is too meaningful to encapsulate in words. Our loss is enormous.
When this happened, her husband comes to town, her husband, Matthew. And I met with him and their son. And he was as kind as you can be.
What can you possibly say to him?
I didn't know what to say. He hugged me and he was like, I suppose you and I are going to go through this together, he said. And I thought, well, not as much as you are, and his little boy is there who's 9 years old. I have 6 kids now. I have my older daughter, Ireland, of the 6 kids that Ilaria and I have. My oldest is 8. I have a 9-month-old baby. And I think to myself, this little boy doesn't have a mother anymore. And I know that in my life, I'm with my kids, and I'm doing quite well with my kids. My kids and I are having a great time, right until my wife walks in the room, and then I become invisible. My kids all go and they jump on top of their mother. And this boy doesn't have a mother anymore.
He's fucking lying.
And there's nothing we can do to bring her back.
He's not lying about that, but he's lying about his emotions.
And I told him, I said, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to convey to you how sorry I am and how I'm willing to do anything I can to cooperate.
In the aftermath of the shooting, a torrent of criticism.
The first thing you do when you pick up that gun is you make sure that it's never pointed at anybody.
He should have known that an AD handing you a gun and saying it's cold isn't the same as several people showing you an empty gun.
If I were holding that gun, I would have checked it, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm. People said to me, I got countless people online saying, you idiot, you never point a gun at someone. Well, unless you're told it's empty, and it's the director of photography who's instructing you on the angle for a shot we're going to do. And she and I had this thing in common where we both thought it was empty, and it wasn't. And that's not her responsibility. That's not my responsibility. Whose responsibility remains to be seen. But I do.
Well, there are some who say you're never supposed
Whose
to point a gun
responsibility is it
at
remains to be
anyone
seen.
on a set, no matter what.
Unless the person is the cinematographer who's directing me where to point the gun for her camera angle. That's exactly what happened. That day, I did exactly what I've done every day on that movie.
Which is what?
Which is that there's an armorer there, and that word is new to me. In the years I've been in this,
What did you call it?
It was a prop guy or woman. And the prop person would come, and sometimes they would insist on demonstrating for you and the camera crew. They take the gun. If it was a contemporary gun, they show you the chamber, they show you the clip, they say, the gun is cold. And you look at it and go, thank you. And in the 40 years...
Sometimes that would happen. Not all the time.
Well, but no, sometimes they wouldn't demonstrate to me. Some insisted on demonstrating. They would do the demonstration for everybody there right before we rolled the camera or rehearsed. Then there were others who they didn't do that because I trusted them to do the job. And again, this is not just me pointing a gun at somebody else, people pointing guns at me. I've gotten shot and killed in films before where people had to shoot a flash round at me, and I trusted them to do their job. And in the 40 years I've been in this business, all the way up until that day, I never had a problem.
How many times do you think you handled a gun in those 40 years?
What an interesting, what a weird way to say that. What an interesting alibi or, perspective way to say things where I've done this countless times, and there have even been people that I've entrusted my life with to follow these protocols. Couldn't have been my fault. There's no reason as to why I am to blame, me as Alec Baldwin. It's somebody else. He literally already has said that it's somebody else. Like, I know that someone is to blame, but it's not me. Like, this guy is fucked up.
I don't know. What amazes me is how many bullets, how many rounds of bullets do you believe have been fired on the sets of movies and TV shows in the last 75 years?
Safely?
No idea.
Right. It couldn't be above 1 billion.
So
You've
why
had
do you
hundreds and hundreds of millions of bullets fired on the sets of films and TV shows, and 4 or 5 people were killed. Now those deaths are tragic and abhorrent. And believe me, I would do anything in my power. I would do anything in my power to undo what was done. I don't know how that bullet arrived in that gun. I don't know. But I'm all for doing anything that will take us to a place where this is less likely to happen again.
I'm going to just say this right now, again, reiterate. He's acting as though he's speaking to an audience that has never fired a gun before, okay? If you ever fired a paintball gun, if you ever fired an airsoft gun, and if you've ever fired an actual gun, if you fired an actual gun compared to an airsoft gun or a paintball gun, tell me how they feel and what the discharge of the ammunition feels like in your hand to your wrist comparatively between the three. Because if this dude fired off a live round, I don't give a shit if it was a fucking accident or not, you would feel that. You would know that you fired off a live round. And of course, the false rounds, the blanks, would potentially feel very similar. I'm not sure. I've never fired off a blank. But in the beginning of this 3-part series, this dude himself said that they don't feel any similar. There's no recoil. It doesn't actually give off. There's no recoil, so you can't feel it. There's no real impact. So let me know what's going on. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what actually happens, because I don't know. I've never fired off a blank round before. So, but I just come on, let me know. Let me know what you are thinking.
Every single time I'm handed a gun on a set, every time, Mark, they hand me a gun, I look at it, I open it, I show it to the person I'm pointing it to, we show it to the crew. Every single take, you hand it back to the armor when you're done, you do it again. Right. Everyone does it. Everybody knows it.
How do you respond to actors like George Clooney who say that every time they were handed a gun, they checked it themselves?
Well, there were a lot of people who felt it necessary to contribute some comment to the situation, which really didn't help the situation at all. You have if your protocol is you checking the gun every time, well, good for you. Good for you. You know, I probably handled weapons as much as any other actor in films with an average career. Again, shooting or being shot by someone. And in that time, I had a protocol, and it never let me down.
Why did you choose in your 40 years not to check the gun yourself?
What I was taught by someone years ago was, as I said, if I took a gun and I popped a clip out of a gun or I manipulated the chamber of a gun, they would take the gun away from me and redo it. The prop person said, don't do that. When I was young. And they'd say, one thing you need to understand, we don't want the actor to be the last line of defense against a catastrophic breach of safety with the gun. My job, they told me, man or woman, my job is to make sure the gun is safe, and then I hand you the gun and I declare the gun is safe. The crew's not relying on you to say that it's safe. They're relying on me to say that it's safe. When that person who was charged with that job handed me the weapon, I trusted them, and I never had a problem.
And this was from the beginning of your career?
From day one. There's one person that's supposed to make sure that what is in the gun is right and that what's wrong is not in the gun. One person has that responsibility to maintain the gun. And
what is the actor's responsibility?
I guess that's a tough question, because the actor's responsibility going this day forward is very different from the day before that. Yeah, now I can't. First of all, I can't imagine I'd ever do a movie that had a gun in it again. And I can't. When you say what is the actor's responsibility is to do what the prop armorer tells him to do. And we did not have a problem. I mean, I understand there was an accidental discharge at one point on the set of a blank round, but we did not have a problem for me until that day. Everything gets slowed down. Zapruder film-esque here. And the issue with that is there's only one question to be resolved, only one. That is, where did the live round come from?
Hi, everyone. George.
Holy. Okay, so, yeah. So that was the Alec Baldwin interview. I'm going to come up and talk to y'all. Yeah, that's insane. To be honest, I don't know what to say to you. I personally don't believe a word of what he said. It didn't even seem like good acting. Didn't even seem like he was more convincing when he portrayed himself as Donald Trump than he did as Alec Baldwin trying not to be convicted of murder. And so I'd love to know what you guys think and what you guys are thinking after seeing the interview. I'm sure you may have watched it yourselves. Here's a little recap and my thoughts a little bit around what's going on. But yeah, just let me know how you feel. And I'm sure I'll be back for another video soon, letting you know my feelings around things. I have a TikTok where I put up shit every day. It's something. I don't really put up my opinions like I do here, but it is something else. So you can go over there and just go look up the open debate, just like you do here. As always, this is not just my opinion, it's your opinion. It's a conversation for us all to have. And yeah, this was just me hanging out with you for the evening or the day or whenever you're checking it out. Thank you for coming in, boys and girls. My name's Elder, and this has been the Open Debate. If you don't know already,